clients are becoming more, they require far more measurement down to their return on investment. So we find that campaigns we do now require us to understand the company that we're working for intrinsically. And what I mean there is we need to understand how that business ticks so we can push back the measurements. And that for me cuts across every single medium. So when we say measurements required and how do we do differently is we'll look at what are we pushing back to the bottom line of a company. What are we doing in the campaign that's going to push their bottom line, their return on investments? How are we adding to their profitability? And that for me requires to understand exactly how that business ticks. Now, once you understand that, then you can start looking at measurement matrix. And you obviously have to sit down with the client and say, well, what is that? So it's quite tough. Measurement for me is a huge part. I think it swings both ways, and that's why I like it very much. And when your measurement matrix are correct and you're doing it correctly, it's a hugely empowering thing to have for you and for the clients. Measurement isn't digital. It's a part of being digital. Measurement, the true measurement, what we call kind of true meaning of measurement or measurement with meaning, is understanding what you want to measure, what the client wants to get out, and understanding, fundamentally what the client's business is about. Otherwise, you can't really measure very correctly. Measurement for me, it can be a mashup between soft measurements and hard measurements. Digital gives us such a great hard measurement tactic, but often with the digital side, although you got very hard measurement numbers, it may not necessarily mean anything. So click-throughs, impressions, likes, what has that done for the objective of the company? I'm not answering your question, but that's the one thing. So what we do, and I'd say our biggest clients in financial services, a very difficult industry to measure from a brand point of view. But we'll sit down and we'll create a campaign across as many channels as possible, relative channels, and look at how each one adds to the objective of the clients. What are we trying to do, and then how are we going to measure that? So above the line is tough. What are your call to actions? What is that driving? Is that driving call rates, pickup rates inside the intermediary or the sales channel? So can we look at an association between brand relevance and the uptake in sales calls or queries into call centers, etc.? So that'll be one metric, a fairly soft one and difficult one to measure. If we're doing direct campaigns, what is it we're trying to get to? So ultimately, we'll look at a matrix of measurements, whether it be actual driving sales. So we'll be able to tie back what the sales are based on the campaign. We'll be able to look at which channels generated the most traffic, and then tie that back to actual numbers. I think that above the line stuff is very, very hard to measure. I don't say we do it any better than anyone else, if we do it at all, and hence we tend to kind of lean away from it. And the biggest reason is because as we've kind of gone through these credit crunches and recessions, so it's so difficult to go back with a real return on investment. Whereas what we've done very well is position our business to be able to give you real returns. So if we spent X amount of rand, what exactly we put back in your coffers? So the bigger bottom line agencies, I feel for them. We work alongside a lot of them. That's your balance between art and science. We probably lean closer to the science side because we have that ability. It doesn't mean there isn't a place for art as well. Measuring it's quite tough. So measurement often requires creativity, funny enough, and the way and the practices of measuring stuff. And you can be quite clever how you do that. As long as it's, again, and I'm harping on, but as long as it's driving the objective of your clients and there's bottom line. So I do find in our industry, a lot of people like to shout measurement. It's a catchword. It's a buzzword. Clients want to hear it. And they want to hear it because their finance guys are driving it. Unless you can measure properly, meaning to measurements, I think it's redundant. Hence the saying of campaigns that become redundant if they're not measured.